No, Caitlin starts us.
Okay. And we're back with another episode.
We have a special guest. This is not Zane sitting next to me.
Ozempic Zane.
Zane is still behind. Zane's still behind the camera, but we have a special guest. He came all the way from Australia to be on this podcast by way of
Hawaii. I stopped in Hawaii.
Hawaii. We have Bobby Sandhu, but apparently
That's not your name?
I have my real name. It's Banda Bahadur Singh Sandhu.
Shut the
One more
fuck
time?
up.
Banda Bahadur Singh Sandhu. He was a Sikh general, and he destroyed this one like Muslim city so bad that there were not even two bricks stacked on top of one another.
What era was this?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Like, was it recent this happened, or like
no,
years
like 200 years ago.
Oh.
What would be 200 years ago?
Yeah, so the 1800s.
1800s.
And this was your who? Grandfather?
No. This was just a Sikh general
Oh,
in
okay.
northern India.
And you're named after him?
I'm named after him.
Wow. What do people in India think of that guy now?
He's a hero for like in our community for sure.
killing the Muslims?
Well, you know, it was the kind of the era. It was
Do they have statues of him?
yeah, for sure.
Because in this country, it's very popular. Someone who was thought to be a hero, like in that time period,
Yeah.
now
They're
they
evil.
tear down their
owned slaves or
statues.
something.
Yeah,
I've
like
heard of
slave
this.
owners. But in India, it's not like that. Once a hero, always a hero.
You know, it's happening all over the West. We have it in Australia, in the UK. People find Winston Churchill to be contentious.
Yes.
It's a guy who beat the Nazis,
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh, you know what? It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's hard to look at things of the past through our eyes, through present day eyes.
100%. I would like to understand their argument more. What are they saying, that we shouldn't talk about this?
Racist. There's that racist. That's it.
Come on.
That's
Yeah.
the argument.
Everything's racist.
No, but that's
Everything.
the argument, and that's the argument. There's no other argument.
Yeah. Oh, people just, it's crazy.
But in India, which is the East, they don't try to do that.
You
Even
know-
though the guy was probably not a good guy, like a
It's-
Genghis Khan type.
It's so crazy. Exactly. So Genghis Khan is on the Mongolian currency.
Mhm.
You know, have you heard Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
Yeah.
On the Mongols,
Mhm.
he says most people typically associate like the zenith of their civilization with when they controlled the most amount of territory and when they were with the biggest. But for some reason nowadays, people don't like the idea of like an American empire or
Right.
the West
Right.
controlling. People feel bad. All of a sudden, everyone feels bad. We don't feel bad. We're like, fuck yeah, we'll fucking shit up. That was
Well,
the
I
game.
think that
We're
goes
winning.
along the whole lines of just equality. Like everyone's equal.
Yes.
And if you're a dominant country, an empire is bad because they associate it with like
Colonization.
colonization.
Yeah.
So it's not good to be an empire.
Look, it wouldn't feel good to be conquered. Imagine if the
Right.
fucking Chinese came here and they're like, you can't speak English, you got to use chopsticks, you can't fuck around, you got to salute the... You know, that
I'd
would
be fine
suck.
with the chopsticks, but everything else would suck.
Nah, fuck that.
I
would
like
need a
some of
spring
like the
roll.
organization. They seem
Yeah.
like very on top of it.
But still, we couldn't criticize the
Great
government.
skincare.
I
Yeah.
think that's Korean.
Imagine a social
Oh.
credit
Oh.
system. Imagine a social credit system. That would
I mean, that's kind of what they have now.
do we?
Not really.
Leaning towards that. I mean, that's certain things.
Yeah, certain things.
I mean, on a very small.
I heard of a credit card today that's already made, but it's going to be tied to like a carbon footprint. Like if you buy red meat,
Whoa.
it would,
Stop
yeah, no, that's made, but
That's
it's not.
definitely Bill Gates.
But it keeps track of your carbon footprint.
Yeah.
And then once you reach a certain level, the credit
It's
card.
all exactly like, remember when Black Mirror was really popular?
Yeah.
That show?
Oh yeah.
Like, all of those were like so realistic.
very.
Not
That
even like, oh, that's such a stretch. It's like, oh.
They had that
that's-
social credit score episode.
Yeah,
They
but
did,
yeah.
they did.
That's why when you said that, I was
That
like,
episode's whack.
and with that one, you really are like, this could happen.
Yeah, it will have. That will happen
Yeah.
for sure.
I drive a family car back home. The family lends me a car. It's like a Tesla. And this thing, I started... There's an auto drive mode, which I believe is more limited in Australia. That's my understanding of it. But it's like an extra thing. When you get the car, you have to pay extra money. You can have this extra feature.
Mm-hmm.
If you do something whilst it's in auto drive mode that it considers an infringement or something, it will buzz you and it'll take the auto drive mode off, usually for the rest of the drive.
Like what? Like what do you do?
You can't use that feature anymore until the car is turned off and on.
No, but what could you do that it would say?
It would be like
speeding.
So it used to be like you were inattentive, it would give you warning. So when your hands aren't on the wheel and the car's driving itself, it's turning and doing things. If you didn't respond in time and give it some feedback, if you did that a subsequent number of times, it would then cancel the auto drive.
Well, you were saying before we started recording, like Australia is a bit of a nanny state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of part of it.
For
It's
sure.
about
There's not
safety.
enough. There isn't a very strong libertarian sentiment like there is in this United States.
What do you like better?
This is something I'm just not sure of. Like, for
People
example,
from other countries criticize the United States as being not safe, right? They think guns a lot, right?
Yes. Well, so recently there was a stabbing spree in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
So what an NRA member will tell you, see, no one has guns. If someone had a gun and he started stabbing people in this room, bang, I shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one perspective. I'm not sure what the truth is. Another perspective is, and this is what I suspect, is because there's a very low rate or a much lower rate of civilian gun ownership. Guns are less prevalent in society. There's more checks and balances. There's more loopholes to jump through. You need more money and whatnot to own a firearm. The average crazy person can't get a firearm. So when there is one of these super rare events, when someone just goes off goes mad and kills people, they don't have as much firepower. As let's say here, I could get a semi-automatic rifle with a high magazine capacity.
Yeah.
I could really, like, look at the Vegas shoot. Like, you have shootings here that lots and lots of people die.
Mm.
But in saying that, you have to contend with the fact that right now, 4 of us sitting in this room, if 4 people break down the front door and they're coming in here and we don't know, maybe this is a low percentage situation, but we don't know if they're just here to rob us. Maybe they want to harm us or whatnot. In that some kind of crazy situation, the only thing that can help you in the moment is having a firearm. You'd much rather have one than not have one.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm not really a gun person, but the idea that, like, if you make guns illegal, then there will be no shootings. Like, murder is already illegal, and people tend to break the law.
I don't agree with that argument.
Yeah, I don't think it'll affect crime at all.
Right.
I don't think at all.
I don't know why people. I'm not like into guns. I don't like them, but I think people should have the right. I don't really care, I guess, either way. Just because I don't think that. I guess people that are anti-guns, their argument is that, right? Is that they think
their argument sounds to me that the gun kills people.
But
this gun specifically kills people.
Right, but so
I don't
do
believe
like
that at all.
so do drugs and like.
But I think the person kills.
Yeah,
it,
but they're
right?
gonna find a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you say again? Can you reiterate what you said?
Like, the idea is, like, if you make guns
Right.
more illegal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example on this. In Australia, there are still gang shootings.
Of course.
Whatever, organized crime. Now, in Australia, look, I've never bought a firearm or anything crazy like that. I've heard it costs tens of thousands of dollars to purchase an illegal firearm.
Illegal.
Unless you're robbing someone who has a firearm, but then that person has to meet very strict legal guidelines. Their safe has to weigh a certain amount. The ammunition in the firearm has to be locked in different places. There's regular police checks, police going and checking that people. It's craziness.
Yeah.
That your gun is, you're following these procedures. So it's much harder to rob someone, and because it's not as easy to get guns. Now, interestingly, there is a phenomenon in Australia whereby the military barracks armories get robbed.
That's an inside job. Like,
Of course.
right.
Of course.
Oh,
That's
you're
the way
being.
it works.
Yeah, of course.
I
Yeah,
think
they're not
so, too.
actually
That's
getting
where my
robbed.
mind is going.
No, but right?
Has to be.
No, it
How do
can't.
you get into
yeah,
that's
just people that work
crazy.
there want to have a gun. of
Yeah.
their own.
Yeah.
No one's breaking in and stealing.
There's no way. Or I do a deal. You're some bad guy. You pay me a stupid amount of
Yeah.
money. But you
It's the
think
same thing, yeah.
you'd think they could figure that stuff out. But I guess shit goes on at every level.
Like, when you said that there's been increase of whatever government safes being robbed, you were kidding, right? The person who's
Yes,
robbing it
yes.
has a key.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Because how could you rob the military?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, that's like, remember at the White House they said they're like, oh, they found like a bag of coke in the or they found like cocaine in the White House, and they're like, they can't figure out where it came from. They're like, what do you mean? Look at it. The security cameras weren't working or something like that. They're like, they just couldn't figure out where it came from. I'm like, in the White House, someone, you can't figure it out.
I used to work in a bar. I was a security guard, and once my managers pulled me in, and he's giving me a talking to. He's like, "There's a lot of drugs in this bar. Like, we're not doing enough." And I said to him, "Listen, mate, do you think I can regulate this place tighter than a prison?"
Yeah, exactly.
And he said, "Well, no, this is a bar. People here have fun." I'm gonna go, "Yeah, you can't get drugs out of prisons.
Yeah.
You want me? I'm stoned as it is.
Yes.
You want me to figure out how to get drugs out of this place? I'm doing
You're like,
my level.
and I'm getting paid enough for that.
I'm doing my level bit. I would like."
Did you really say that?
prophesize. But who knows? These are the things I say. I repeat them a million times. Did they really happen? Who knows? You know what I mean?
That's a really good analogy,
I don't
though.
know. I don't know nothing.
That's super funny.
We keep getting like deeper into conversation. I didn't really even introduce you. So
Oh.
Bobby Sandhu, he is here from Australia training with us at Vanguard Jiu-Jitsu Academy. He's a high-level Jiu-Jitsu grappler. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, he's cool. I like Bobby. Then when I followed you on Instagram, I was like, comedian. Oh, all right. Then I talked to you a few times. I thought you'd be really fun and cool for the podcast. But so you started training jiu-jitsu how long ago?
10 years ago.
10 years ago. And now you do that and comedy. Those are your passions?
Yes, I teach jiu-jitsu. That's what I do for money. And then I've since I started comedy, I never stopped. And I told myself I'm going to do it minimum once a week. But there is like a real feeling, there's a real rush from comedy and from doing well. And you keep chasing that dragon.
Is it better than like winning a
Better than
jiu-jitsu match?
anything.
Better than a jiu-jitsu
Oh,
winning
please.
a...
Please.
What if you...
Please.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a 3-minute random set at
I don't know.
some...
You might be different. I'm curious as to both of your experiences. You've a lot of competition experience. I personally don't even feel that good winning. I just am so glad that I have not lost.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh,
we just talked about
brother,
this.
we can
Yeah.
pretend we can keep the fast up another 6 months or so. You know,
I agree with that in every sport except one.
MMA.
MMA, the win, I think, means a little more because it doubles your paycheck.
Well, yeah.
And
Wow.
it almost
Okay.
more than doubles because your next one also increases.
Increases,
So like
yeah.
the residual effect, you're not just happy, all right, I didn't lose.
Wow.
You're definitely happier. But in like sports like wrestling or something, I'm just
Well,
happy
yeah,
I
'cause
didn't.
if, like,
I can't remember one of my
If fighting,
wins.
if you got paid a flat rate, it would feel like that more.
Yeah.
But you get half of, you know what I mean? If you lose, your paycheck's half of what it would have been. So it's like
The win counts.
The win counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's like when you lose, it's like even if it's like a split decision and people are like, that was such a good performance. It didn't ruin your stock. You're like, yeah, but I only got paid half. Like that's all you think about after.
You are a very high level MMA fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if you had solely the income that you get like from fighting, that you would still have a very comfortable life?
Wait, what?
If you were only getting paid from fighting,
Yeah.
someone at your level, is that enough of an income? Would you be making enough money from just fighting? Are the people at your level of MMA?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just from competition, just from
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like that the whole time, but I would say like the last 5 years for sure.
Because I would say in jiu-jitsu,
Well, I mean, it doesn't even compare.
you
to
could count
jiu-jitsu.
with probably 2 hands the guys that are
It
really.
is-
I think you could count on.
competition.
I think you count on almost no hands for just competition. Maybe one hand.
I could name 5 people. who-
Just competition. I think
Yeah.
like Gordon is so successful, but almost none of it's competition. He's instructional. He does instruction.
Yes, but we're talking. I'm not talking get rich or all your income. I'm just talking.
To
Could
live.
you get to like living? Could you just cover most basic expenses and live just doing your?
I think for jiu-jitsu, if you're not in one FC, I don't know that you could just from competition.
I know like UFC Fight Pass. The
they pay like
Fight Pass.
$5,000 a fight.
No, they pay the top guys like 50K.
Yeah, and they have a
Yeah,
couple a year, 3 or 4 a year.
Yeah, look, it depends. I mean, again, we're talking about the same 5 guys. We're talking Craig, Gordon, maybe
Nicky
Nicky
Rod.
Rod. You know, there's a handful.
Probably,
At the
like-
lighter weights, maybe you're right. Outside of one championship, Musumeci.
Yeah,
know.
because at least one championship seems a little bit more consistent.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, they sign people to exclusive contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
Like
like how
unique.
they do for MMA.
Why is stand up a better feeling then? How do you know that you killed as much? Just by laughs?
So there's LPMs, laughs per minute, and then there's the depth of the laughter. Yeah, is it a hee or a ha ha? So, it's about the ha ha. That's why puns are bullshit. Don't do puns on stage.
Oh, because it takes a second.
Brother, but you don't want to hammer him.
Yeah.
It's like striking, isn't it? You know, you need to
Yeah.
at least. You can't just be touching the guy.
You can't just jab all the time.
Have you've performed? You did Kill Tony's show,
Mm-hmm.
and then but most of your performance is Australia,
Of course, yep.
and then you've done some smaller shows in the States.
Yeah. So I did different. That's the issue with Austin is I felt like, because you gotta build a network. You gotta know bookers,
Yeah.
room runners. You know, it's like slowly you work your way up, and you can obviously deliver more of a better show. But in Austin, I would just do really poor open mics, but occasionally you would have like a crazy opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're doing like you're on kill millions of people like it's insane to be able to jump at that only doing comedy a few years in. So I would feel like there wasn't enough in between things.
Right.
I would have liked to have some in between shows where I could get good reads, because open mic comedy is nothing like even when you go from booked shows like open mics to booked shows, there's a massive difference in the experience just when people are paying $20
Right.
Yeah.
versus hey,
They
this
just
is
happen to be there.
this is a Nepalese restaurant and we're gonna get up now and you're there trying to talk, have a dinner and stuff, and you're trying to grab their attention and listen to you, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And then you're doing it, and then maybe there's someone there that's like, "Oh, I want to try comedy," and they get up there and they're not that serious, so it brings a level of it down,
Yes,
a
yes,
little bit. So
it's not in a venue with a low ceiling and dark and a spotlight.
Yeah. Oh, the
Yeah.
tiniest things. Seating is huge. If people aren't tightly packed in, I need to get you guys whipped up in like a mob mentality. Even when you don't think it's funny, you're laughing because you're laughing on sync.
yeah,
So even when people are sparsely seated, someone might think it's funny, but no one else laughed. They're not gonna.
right.
Because laughter is this involuntary thing, so you have to relax.
Mm-hmm.
Let that
Yeah.
take
And
place.
I think in the comedy show, you're almost like when you walk into a comedy show, you want to laugh. You're like
Yes.
prepared to laugh. So
Yes.
things are going for you.
But you
And
guys
then-
are good audience members.
We're
You're
big
going
in
after
comedy.
You're
Yeah,
into
yeah,
comedy.
yeah.
Well, we're like fans, I think, and I think a lot of people that go to comedy shows are fans, and they're probably, for you as a comedian, that's probably the type of people you want there. But if you get
'Cause you
someone that's
appreciate
like,
humor.
"Oh, I'm going to a comedy," they don't even understand like etiquette
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I've seen Rogan a few times. In Austin, you can go see Rogan for $20. The only issue is sometimes it can be tricky to get, like they'll announce the tickets and you have to
Yeah.
like, be waiting
You
there.
have to be there, yeah.
We've done that for Dave Chappelle.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Austin?
No, in New York.
Okay.
It was
Damn.
like a Tuesday at 1 a.m. and they would put it on their Instagram. We're like,
They
the
put it
goat's
out like
here.
Tuesday. They do it like at the stand we go to a lot, and so they'll put on their Instagram. They'll just put "Goat tonight." They don't even say his name, and then tickets go on sale and like you right away, and it
And
sells
it's
out.
let
for-
me know.
there's like
Something
only
like that
available
happens,
to
let me know.
only
Yeah.
available to like 30 people or something. So it's like a tiny little room.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
You saw Chappelle with 30
We
people.
I
were
was
front
his
row.
cigarette ashes were falling on me, literally.
yeah.
My feet were like on the stage. Literally, his cigarette ashes were like falling. He smoked
Cigarettes
it was over 2
nonstop.
hours. Over 2 hours.
How
We were-
was it? 2 hours?
We
Yeah,
were so
over.
tired.
Wow.
It was like 3 a.m.
Yeah, because then he didn't go on till
Wow.
late, and we're like, it was Tuesday afternoon. I'm like, I tried like the 4 times before when he was there to get the tickets, and I would go right at the time, and they're sold out. So I was like, oh, I tried it, and I was like, thinking I wasn't gonna get them. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I just got tickets. We're gonna go tonight. And he's like, what time? I'm like, it's 11:30 tonight, and we go to bed at like 9. So we were like, all right, let's
I think it was
go.
later than that.
Yeah, and it was because we
Yeah.
were like up late, and it was so good. It was so cool, but
It was. I wouldn't
Wow.
even call it comedy, like in terms of bits. It was more like social commentary. He just kind of like talked about stuff.
Wow.
He
He was
kind
just
of does
hanging
that
out.
anyway. He was
Yes,
just hanging
yes.
out basically, and just like social commentary. But I don't want to get too far off the tangent with this. We were talking about how when you walk in, the lighting, the dark room, the seating, it has to like prepares you to
Everything.
You have like I think this helps comics too. Like when you have a certain like look, because you're like so tall and skinny, you're like kind of like eye catching to begin with. Sure. And then when you talk, like with the Australian accent, that grabs them more. Yes. Like I feel like if like, you know, you could say kind of the same thing, but look a different way and have a 100%. Completely different experience about it. Like some people, like their facial expressions help with the joke. I don't know if you ever listen to like a bit, even like a famous bit, like where you don't see the person, like on Spotify or something. Yeah. I've done that. It doesn't resonate at all. When you look a certain way, you have a good look and voice for comedy.
He's
like 6'5" and 150.
There's a 2 or 3 hour Ralphie May did a comedy masterclass at the Comedy Store in I think it was where's that, LA?
That's LA.
Yeah. And one of the things he says is comedy is an art form that can't be documented.
Yeah, it's an energy.
Even a special, it's you are in that room, and that's what it is. So that's a tricky thing. Obviously, some people translate more or less. You know, Rogan says that about Diaz. Like I really think all people, for some reason, when it's getting filmed, maybe it's some kind of pressure that they're not able to go through. Like oftentimes, sometimes I'll put up a bit online, and I'll get a laugh from something. But the laugh was in reference to you had to have heard the set before,
right?
Or in the break, a glass fell. Like there's things.
It's funny because like online, I get a laugh more from like the way something's written out, like a meme or a comment. I'll be like, oh my god, that's so funny. Where captions are super funny, which is like a whole thing of comedy. But like a comedy show, you could be watching it or listening to it, and if you're listening to Sebastian or something, like if you can't see his eyes, his whole jokes are his eyes, like his facial expressions and stuff. He's the funniest person ever. But if you listen to the joke, it's not like the funniest words you've ever heard, right?
Yeah.
But the way he looks,
they have it on like Sirius XM, like on satellite radio. Like I know, my mom sometimes she'll listen to like comedy on there, and then I thought about that. I didn't think about it till now. There's probably some people that are, if you listen to them on there, they're probably not as good. But if you saw them in person, then there's a difference too of watching the video on TV and then being there in person. Because I've noticed the last couple of times we've watched comedy on TV that I kind of lost interest, and we're huge comedy fans. I think we just like going. I like going in person, and I like when they do like at most like 10, 15, 20-minute bits.
How did you say Ralphie May said? He said comedy is an art form that can't be documented.
Correct.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, because then there's different, like nowadays there's different type of comedians, because it used to, when you said comedian, you just think of like a stand-up comic. Now there's totally different types. There's people that are comedians that make memes and they are funny in that way, clever in that way, but probably aren't good stand-up. And then there's people that are funny on podcasts, but then they do their main thing is, and then people are like, oh, I love them, they're so funny. They go to watch them at a comedy store, and they're like, wait, they're not that. It's different.
In Australia,
are you a joke writer? Well, sorry,
no.
Not a joke writer.
Of a performer. That's why I
you work the crowd.
Well, like what you were saying earlier, like the guy's eyes, Sebastian Younger's eyes. But then if you ever pick up a Jerry Seinfeld bit and just read it, nothing, just a transcript, tell me you're not going to laugh.
Yeah.
That's the power of writing, you know?
He's a writer.
He's a Norman writer.
He takes like word, like he'll replace this word. This. I listened to his, it was a skit on YouTube. It's like how to write a joke. And he like,
it's an art form. It's a skill.
Crosses this word out for this word, out for this word. Yeah. You ever hear the guy, he does what the hell's his name? Greg Girard, or not Greg Girard, I forget his name, but he did the bit, it went famous, but about the postal abbreviations. Oh my God. I heard it was a 1-hour podcast. He was on James Altucher's show, and he said he wrote the joke for 10 years. And he like goes through the whole thing, and he's like, and I had to use this word because the K sound. The K is a funny thing. He's like, I try to get as many K sounding words.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
He says you should end your punchlines on hard consonants.
Yeah,
and then he
said that same thing. Who told you that?
This is the same video I believe you're referencing.
Oh, you saw that video?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you didn't see it.
No, we, because I've been part of like, I've done comedy courses.
Yeah, so
you
you've
get
seen
together
it all.
with 10 people.
Yeah.
You try to break things down. It's like everything. Everything is the same. You need to study it, learn about it.
Yeah.
Try to, build the, like, I've met you now. The other day I did a wrestling private. I was like, this is insane. You have access to, people who are better and better at something, and they're the people, because no one better to tell you than someone who can actually do it.
Oh, of course.
Gary Goldman.
He's a writer?
Is the comedian who did the postal joke with the hard consonant. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about the bit. Actually, I've not heard what you're saying.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. I just want to say his name.
I was going to say, that's the beauty, when you were saying how there's so much new comedy in different styles. Comedy is a lot like Jiu-Jitsu, in the sense that in Jiu-Jitsu, you compare Jiu-Jitsu to wrestling often when we speak, Kyle. Jiu-Jitsu is very open-ended. Make the guy tap however he taps. You just have to make him tap. Comedy is the same. Make him laugh however they laugh.
That makes sense.
So if you could, that's why that you could do it in such a diverse way, and that's why it's like, nowadays when I do things, people are always saying, oh yeah, you can do that because of your length. Because you have like these different proportions, your body type. But in the beginning, when I was doing jiu-jitsu, I was only aware of all the negatives of my body type. I couldn't get inside position. I couldn't shrimp. My limbs were too long. I had to learn to do it and then find my way of doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the same for comedy. You've somehow got to figure out your own like unique method of doing it. But there's something that you're bringing to it that's you. That's why even it's like someone says, why should I why should I buy your instructional over Gary Tonin or Gordon or just whoever the most successful competitor? It's because this is now, when you're teaching someone, you're teaching them what your unique experience was like facing the same skill problems and the same type of scenarios all the time.
And that might click with someone.
Yeah, just some way, somehow differently. Yeah. That's interesting, right? Like, just because someone is a high-level coach or it's a high-level program doesn't necessarily mean it's the best program for you.
Right. Yeah. Of course. That's why I always think, especially like
styles too.
Yeah, training MMA, I know that, because you can't be like, oh, where does this person train? Who does this person train with? And it's like, because everyone is so different, and not just in skills, but also like personalities. And,
oh my God. And how they run a practice.
Yeah. And it could be great for some people. Some people need to, in MMA or jiu-jitsu, some people need to train with people that are better than them all the time. And then some people, that's awful for them, and they can only train with people that they fucked up all the time. And then some people do both, And to say that that's one thing I kind of learned, is I always used to think like kind of the way that I train was the right way. But then as I got older, I realized I'm like, okay, everyone does it differently, and what might work for them doesn't work for me. I guess that's just part of, maturing and seeing different personalities.
Oh yeah, of course. Like if I went to a gym that pretty much only did like rubber guard and stuff like that, I would be like, this sucks. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to go to the right place that fits for you.
You can just have a guy, like after my session with you the other day, I felt motivated to learn more about wrestling.
Really?
I've had similar experiences, like when I was back home, and I haven't done any striking basically the last 10 years. I've only been doing jiu-jitsu. And I just found a local boxing coach who was very passionate, and he'd gotten some guys very good in a short period of time. And just by training with him now, I appreciate boxing more.
Yeah.
I have. It's like, this would be. I can see. It's like when you see someone who's very competent at something, based off of what they've been able to achieve, you could expect maybe a similar scenario being a possibility for yourself.
Yeah.
That's why it's good. Just being around very high level guys is good, because it's easier to have bigger dreams if it's achievable, if people around you have achieved it.
Yeah, I'm big on that. I think that like
you need a path. You follow someone who's done it before.
Yeah.
It makes it easier, because then you just ask. I like asking people questions. People that have done stuff that I don't, or know things that I don't know about. I'm just like, I play dumb. I'm like, well, if I am dumb, but
I've had a great
like asking questions.
Appreciation for that, because I've been in both.
Yeah.
I've been in rooms where I was like the best guy.
Yeah.
I was like, no one here has done what I want to do. Why am I here? Like when I wrestled in college, the team was terrible. I'm the only like sort of successful wrestler ever. I'm the only All-American ever from the school. And it's hard to be first.
Yeah.
It's easy to follow a path. Like if you go to Penn State, you just do every practice.
100%.
You're going to do what everyone else does. If you get in the lineup, you're going to be one of the best guys. But then after college, I moved to the Olympic Training Center, and it was like 10 times easier. Not that the workouts are easier. It's the same workout, but you kind of follow a path.
That's kind of what I feel now at Vanguard. I feel like it's a good training program. I feel like Craig was that in Australian grappling.
Mm-hmm.
Before him, he was the first Australian to win Mundial, like a world championship, IBJJF.
Mm-hmm.
At purple belt, he won like a gold medal.
Yeah.
And that's no significant but it started having us think, oh, there's guys training here who are also very good.
So, do you have someone you follow in comedy?
Look,
Who's your Craig Jones in your comic career?
I don't necessarily have, like, 'cause I just don't have, it's just, you can't have access to guys. Like, I just went to B Team. I just went to their practice. Before long, I'm like picking the minds of like Nicky Ryan.
Right.
But I can't just go to Rogan. These
Right.
people, these things are not as accessible.
Maybe someone who's a level up than you.
Yes,
You have
like
guys like that, or not
I
really?
have I've just gotten very lucky that my relationship with Craig. But in comedy, I have met certain people. For example, there was an English comic I met, Carl Legacy, who he was one of the first guys I met who was making a living doing comedy, and I really enjoyed his style. And I saw him do things I hadn't seen before. He was an improv guy.
Mm-hmm.
He could improv an hour.
Wow.
And my God, it'd be a killer hour. And I remember I watched him do 10 minutes for the first time, and I'd never seen anyone kill as hard, get as many laughs on it, and it was off the top of his head. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to be a fucking Jerry. I was about to say Jerry Springer. I don't need to be a Seinfeld. I'm just gonna rock up here, get on that fucking stage, talk shit, be me. Because that's why the reason I got into this whole mess was there was a Canadian UFC fighter who came to Melbourne who was teaching. I moved to Melbourne for better training. At 18, I was like, I'm gonna go seek out Craig. All these. I moved to another state. I was living there, and I'm telling this guy a story where like something had happened. I'd gone to a fight with this guy in the gym. This guy had fucking walked into the middle of like pro training practice at St Kilda, which was at the time absolute like the top grappling gym in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
But Lachlan Giles, a very nice guy, you could get away with murder. I would relate. I got away. You get away with whatever you want. Lachlan, a bit of a softer guy. This guy walked into the middle of the practice. He was and he was an Indian guy from my community also, because I remember he had like a real young kid, and he had the religious headgear like me. So I walked in and I saw him. I started talking to the kid, and I met the dad. And my impression of the guy was immediately, like, this guy's a bit obnoxious. He's telling me about how much money he's making.
Yeah.
You know, he's married to he's got an Aussie girlfriend, and she's got a fucking boob job. And she's,
So he's a
comical.
douchebag.
He's a proper comical guy.
Yeah.
And then I finished the practice. I've come out. I've just done like a tough jiu-jitsu session. And he starts telling me, grappling is useless for self-defense.
Oh my god.
And I need to do striking. I need to take striking seriously.
Okay.
And I'm 18 or 19, and I'm working security at the time, and I'm like 140 pounds. Like I'm a skin and bones, but I'm strangling. I'm putting people out. Flying rear naked choke out of nowhere. I'd stand behind you. You'd have no idea what's going on. Bam! I'm strangling you.
Yeah.
You know. And I was like, dude, I'm fucking doing great. I'm a blue belt terror on these streets.
Yeah.
You know? He goes, yeah, I've owned security companies, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with the job of security.
Yeah.
And then he starts telling me what did he say to me? I'm a Shotokan black belt. I'm a karate black belt. I would knock you out. And I go, how about you put on gloves and try to knock me out? And I'm
This is the first day you ever met him?
No, maybe second or third time.
Okay.
But this is the first time I had an extended conversation with him for sure. But I say this because I am saying stupid, crazy things I don't mean pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just being a stupid, you know? I'm 18. You're a grown adult. He goes over, puts on gloves, comes back over and starts swinging haymaker. Like the first a haymaker flew by, and I was like, this guy's trying to hurt me. Before I realized what happened, I've taken him down. I've mounted him. And now I've mounted on him, and I have the realization this guy's just tried to hurt me.
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't smack him. I didn't do it. I just kind of held him down. I just covered his face, and he panicked. He taps. And I go, look, maybe this is a fluke.
Tell me you get up and he starts coming at you.
No, we still like we get up, we reset, we do it. I think we did it again, and then I laid down on my back, and I was like, "Do you want to start like this? Like I'll lie on my back." And he's like, "No, I don't want to do it." And we went to get up, and he goes to me, "Maybe I do need to learn jiu-jitsu." And I was like, hallelujah. You know what I mean? Bam. We got a believer. And then I'm going to walk off the mat. And he goes, yeah, but if we were on concrete, it'd be different.
Oh my God.
I was like, what? I was like, you're right. I was like, you're right.
You're like,
you're
yeah,
right.
it's
I'm
totally
At
different.
this point, I'm like, this person is lunatic. Turned out this guy had murdered his dad. He was a murderer. He was running around.
Did he use a gun?
He got away. I don't know. I think it was some weird
He stabbed
situation.
him.
Someone he'd paid.
Everyone's stabbing each
There would
other
have been
there.
some shit had gone down. Because as soon as he left, the guy who was on the desk guy, he's like, come over here. Let me show you who this guy is. Googled him. This shit came up. Later on, a few days later, he rings up one of the guys. He says, Bobby jumped me.
Of course.
I'm injured. Tell Bobby I'm going to put a bullet in him.
The murderer said
The
this.
murderer
Did you
said
tell him
this.
that guns are illegal there?
Bro, I'm shitting bricks. I like changed up my routes from fucking to and from.
Oh my God.
I stopped
And
standing
you're only
outside.
18.
Oh my God. Dude, I like called my parents. I'm like, we're gonna get murdered. It was horrible.
How long were you nervous for?
Eventually, like, nothing happened. But who knows? Who knows? It's hard to remember. And, you know, I'm smoking reefer. I'm getting anxious. I'm going.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was telling this story to this Canadian guy, UFC fighter, who came to visit us in Melbourne. And as I'm telling him this story, he's doubled over laughing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I start thinking to myself, I go, I'm constantly in a situation where I'm telling people stories.
Oh.
People are either laughing, or if they're not laughing, I'm addressing a group of people and they're listening to me. I at least have their attention.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's hard.
And I was like, this happens all the time. And I've been listening to the Joey Diaz's podcast, and I've been applying his lessons on how to get better at comedy at Jiu-Jitsu. Like all the things he would say. Don't do the same 5 minutes. Work on the things, like just things I would transfer. And I was like, because I'd been listening to him though, I knew about open mics and this and that. I go, what if I'm 18 or 19? What if I did an open mic a week for 10 years? What if I planted a seed and once a week I went and watered it? What kind of tree could I grow?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And then I picked out an open mic before I was trying to do a comedy course. But I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to get up and do it. Because the comedy course was expensive and the times clashed with jiu-jitsu. The day came, I was supposed to prepare stuff. I didn't prepare anything. Now there's like hours left to go. I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go to the sign up time. So I was like, I'll go late. I'll miss the sign up. And I'll tell everyone I missed the sign up, you know? So to be late, I rang my best friend. He's like top ranked MMA featherweight in Australia, Semakada Kakembo. I go to pick him up. He would constantly get fired from jobs. He would slap people at work. He would do crazy things, walk off. I tell him I'm coming through. He goes, sweet, I'm going to leave work. I'm going to come watch you do this.
Uh-huh.
I pick him up. He just leaves work. We go. As I'm driving there, my housemate goes, Bobby, you're not here yet. I'm like, yeah. Sorry, I'm late.
Traffic.
He's like, all good. I signed you up. I was like, cancel my shit. I'm going to sign myself up. They're like, don't fuck up the experience. I'm like trying to come up with things.
Don't
We
fuck
get
up
there.
the experience.
There was like not even maybe 10 chairs. Like there was barely anyone. Like later, the first time I did Kill Tony, there were 500 people there live. you know?
Yeah.
This there was like 10, 20 people. No one had rocked up. There were empty chairs. And I was like, oh, no, I can't do that.
Wait, you did Kill Tony before you did this?
No. This
Oh.
is late. I'm jumping, going
Got it.
past tense,
I was
future
confused.
tense, you know? I get to the open mic. I tell my friends I can't do this. Sam is so disgusted in me. He says, I will sign up.
No. Bye, God.
He puts his name down, and I'm like, I'm a pussy, but I'm not a bigger pussy than this guy.
Yeah. So you're like, well, he's gonna. But then that would make you feel better. He does it.
Yeah, so he went up first. I went up after him. He didn't really do it again. Maybe did it 2 or 3 times. I never stopped.
When you did Kill Tony, did you get I watched your bit, but then I didn't hear their
Yeah.
did
They were nice.
Were they nice to you?
Yeah,
Like
you know, it was good
complimentary
feedback.
or
Yeah. Look, I reminded him first. It's like I feel like there's definitely a guest effect when you're a visitor in a country. People are nice.
I think so. I
I
think
was
you have an
talking-
advantage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. Even I was talking to an American fella. I was talking to Ryan Jarina because he spent.
I don't know. Who that is.
He trains out of Vamos.
Okay.
I met him when Volk was preparing for Islam. They flew Frank Hickman, Bangtail. He flew this guy from Long Island, this parts, a wrestler guy, to be and help them out for 3 months, and he was living there.
I'm surprised I don't know who that is.
Yeah. He's good. He's a wrestler. He was banging in there with with Vulcan and Adesanya, all these big
From
big
Long
names.
Island?
Yeah.
Trying to think who that is. You know who that is, Zane?
I don't know his last
Oh.
name. It's Brian.
Why am I talking about him? Why am I talking? What did you say before me?
No, we're asking.
Yeah.
I killed Tony.
Kill
and
Tony.
How do we get from Kill Tony to Ryan
He
Torino?
said they're good to.
No, he said they were good to foreigners, and then he started telling.
Ryan Torino went to Australia, and he's telling me, "Oh, people in Australia are so nice." And I'm like, "No, people in Long Island, people in here are really nice." And I'm like, "You know what? It's the guest effect."
I
Yeah.
think so.
He's
yeah,
like-
that's true.
He's like, everyone was inviting me into their homes, and I'm like, yeah, the same thing's happening to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
just
like the new kid in school. We've talked about that before.
yeah.
Everyone likes the new kid.
yeah.
So how
The
do you
girls
like?
always
What do
do.
you think of?
And just being different. You sound different. You're
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
No, it's
An
cool.
accent, you
When
an
everyone's
accent.
when everyone you like it. Okay, when I run into someone in Austin who has the same accent, bro, I run up to that person. We're friends.
Yeah.
We're talking about things back home. You know.
Uh-huh.
Of
In
course.
Australia, I don't run up to other Aussies. You know.
Of course.
When I see an Indian in Australia, bro,
Yeah, you're instantly
we're
best
getting
friends.
down. Yeah.
Different people in Australia people sound different in different regions.
Not the same as Australia. Yes, they are. We call it like
Not
our,
the same as America, you mean?
in Australia. In America, there's just
Yeah.
way more people. Therefore, greater culture. More. It's been around for longer. There's more dialects and stuff. Like a New York accent is very different.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Southern accent is very different.
Yeah. But
In-
Australia's not like that?
In Australia, we call our rednecks bogans.
Okay.
And the more bogan you are, you'll have a thicker Australian accent.
I feel like yours is different than a lot of Australians I heard, I think.
Yeah?
Because you sound exactly like I listened to a couple like conspiracy podcasts. Do you like conspiracies podcasts?
Sure,
There's one, it's like the most extreme person there is, but he's like
Alex
very
Jones?
hard to find. No, way worse. Way worse. Not just like wackier.
worse?
Way
Way
wackier.
worse?
But his name is Santos.
What's something crazy you
Santos
believe?
Bonacci.
Tell me something crazy.
He sounds exactly like
He's
you.
Aussie?
Yeah, yeah, but he sounds his voice. If I close my eyes, it sounds exactly like you. But he's like wild.
Wow.
Yeah, like too wild for me. But I have heard him on a few that I do like. But his voice is exactly like yours. I'll have him listen after.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people tell me there's a bit of Indian in my accent.
Yeah, it is a
I
few
don't-
things.
I
Yeah.
don't like hearing that.
No, there's a
I'm
couple
not
things.
about
I've heard it a couple times. so.
I'm
There was like one. I don't know what it was that you said. There was one time
was a
you
hard
said
beat.
something, and I was like, wait. And then I was like, wait, is that what you always sound like? And I'm just realizing that. I'm
I
like,
felt the same thing. It was like a couple minutes ago.
yeah, I
was like,
don't
wait, he
remember
sounds
what it
like-
was, but I was like,
Oh, my name.
No,
Why
no,
not?
that
no.
was, yeah, it was after that. But your name, yeah,
Because your name, you
name's
put
crazy.
it on it.
I speak very fluent Punjabi.
Yeah,
That's one of the languages. But there's 200 different languages in India.
I know.
That's insane.
And Hindi. Hindi is the main one.
Do you
But I
speak
can even
Hindi?
talk to fucking Zane's tribe over there. But I try not to. I try to avoid those people.
Well, they don't like each other, right?
No, I'm kidding.
Why?
No, I'm kidding. I'm talking shit.
But are you Hindu?
No, I'm a Sikh.
A Sikh.
Yeah.
I've never even heard
You
of
eat
that.
cow?
You know what a Sikh is? Oh, you. This. So
You're
this
not
is a.
supposed to.
So.
No, I know exactly what Sikh, but they're not supposed to cut their hair.
Yes.
So you cut your hair.
Yeah.
So you're not there was something else. I was just learning about Sikh.
He's like, you're off the team.
No, there was
Yeah.
another thing. There
Huh?
was another thing.
There's tons of things.
hair-
They're full of rules, these people.
There was another one that I was surprised with. What's
Knife.
another-
We get to carry a knife.
What's another?
Not a gun.
Not a gun.
What's another?
Bro, I wish I had a gun. I would love to have a gun. Kyle?
Sikh and what else?
My buddy in Texas had one. We'll talk about Sikhs. There's two major families of religions in the world. The ones we're most familiar with here, Abrahamic faith.
I don't know.
So it's like that's
Muslim, Jew, Christian.
the other. Do you know about the Dharmic faith?
Dhammic?
Dharmic.
No.
This is the other chain. The other major chain is Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism. These are kind of
Animism?
Hinduism.
Taoism.
Hinduism is so many different things combined into one.
Spiritualism.
That's like modern new way, like secular spirituality kind of stuff. I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Do you practice your religion? Not really.
I don't believe in a god.
At all?
No.
What do you
Atheist?
think? What do you believe in?
I love what I think this is Nagel, but I've heard it from Harris. The only thing we can be sure of is that I'm having an experience. It's something that it's like to be me. So that I'm conscious. Maybe your shoe isn't conscious. some things I ascribe consciousness to you guys. I can't be sure.
Right.
That's something like so some things I ascribe consciousness. That's the starting point. Okay. Then there is between everything that there is, there's a distinction between mind and matter. Things are made of solids, liquids, and gases. But then there's also things I experience, thoughts. I can think in images and numbers. And thought is fundamentally different from matter. Mind is fundamentally different from matter.
Different. He sounds different. Sounds like that.
Yeah.
Are we agreed on this?
I agree.
Right. So I'm there. Then that's about it. But what you experience in terms of the world is just sense experience.
Yeah.
Like your senses are having this is all like Buddhist way of thinking. These are beliefs I can get on board with. But if you want me to believe anything wacky, you want me to believe that there's something it's like to be after alive, you want me to believe that there's a man who can grant me wishes, or he cares that if I joke off too much, he's bothered by that. Brother,
Yeah.
get out of here. Get out of here.
You need evidence.
Come on, this guy made algebra, but he fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outrageous. What do you believe? You believe in a God?
Yeah.
What is God?
I don't know.
Okay, but
I
you
don't
believe
know.
in him.
No, well, yeah, because I mean, yeah, to something you go all the way back to I don't know what it is, but
I can't be
something.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Yeah,
that's
not
all-
like I wouldn't say like a specific religion I follow, but I definitely believe in God.
Okay.
But I don't know what my religion is.
Like,
yet.
you don't have a faith? You're agnostic.
No, not agnostic.
You're a Christian.
I don't know.
Okay. Have you explored other faiths?
Yeah,
Okay. What is the one most persuasive to you?
there's a lot I like about my brother.
Kyle wants
I'll leave the
to
house.
convert.
do.
I'll leave the house.
He wants to convert.
No, you don't convert to Islam.
Or
You
whatever.
Brother,
revert.
let me tell you something.
He
Your
loves
great
that.
country. You know where we live in New York?
Yeah.
You know this things that have taken place. We're losing it. We lost Afghanistan. You know what I mean? You're sitting here telling me, come on, you gonna get on board with this?
I mean,
There's a lot I like about
There's
it.
some support. Oh my god.
There's a lot I like about it.
No, look.
What I don't like is like the secular wokeism that's America's religion. I don't like that.
You need meaning.
No, but you know what I mean by like like the American religion is turned into just woke. That's the religion,
Okay.
right? I don't like that. So and the opposite of that,
You're leaning. It's making you more conservative.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're responding to the events you're seeing.
Definitely.
It's making you. It's interesting how that
Like
works.
if you were
I agree with that.
but the further like even if I was in the same spot, if I'm at like, you know, if here and then the left goes like 100 times further to the left and I didn't move at all, I'll appear
Right.
even
Okay,
in
that's a
the
good point.
center.
I
Right,
mean,
so
I think that's
exactly
basically
what's
what's happened. Definitely in the last like 5-10 years.
Yeah. And it's been
extremely.
happening. Like, I don't know how familiar you are with American politics, but you know of Bill Clinton?
Yes.
Like, if Bill Clinton was, like, president today with the same, like, you know, policies,
For sure.
he would be thought of as, like, very conservative. Far more conservative than Trump
Yeah.
with, like, welfare and, you know, stuff like that. He was very tough on that.
Mm-hmm.
But he was thought then to be pretty liberal. He was a Democrat, you know? So the policies didn't change. It's just the left got so much more extreme. So the more America's woke religion, that pushes me. I want to be
Right.
like, you know, I want Caitlyn to cover up her face.